Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that this is the last day of your life. How would you spend it? Would you scroll mindlessly on your phone? Would you waste hours on petty arguments? Or would you finally start living the life you've been dreaming about? There's a powerful phrase in Stoic philosophy that forces us to confront this very idea, Memento Mori. It means, remember you must die. While those words may sound grim or even unsettling, they're actually a gift, a wake-up call to live life with clarity, purpose, and meaning. Today, I'm going to share why embracing your mortality is the key to truly living. I'll tell you how the greatest minds in history used this wisdom to achieve greatness, and by the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to make every single day count. But first, take a deep breath and think about this. If today were your last day, what would truly matter to you? The ancient Stoics were obsessed with this idea of death, not in a morbid way, but because they believed it was the ultimate motivator. They understood that when you truly accept that life is finite, you start prioritizing what really matters. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of history's greatest philosophers. Every day, he reminded himself of his mortality. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." Think about that for a second, the most powerful man in the world, constantly meditating on his own death. Why? Because it made him a better leader, a better father, and a better human being. By remembering his time was limited, he refused to waste it. What about you? Are you spending your time on what matters? Or are you letting distractions and fear control your days? Let me tell you about Steve Jobs. In a famous speech, he shared a personal ritual that shaped his life. Every morning, he looked in the mirror and asked himself, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today?" If the answer was no, for too many days in a row, he knew it was time to make a change. Now, here's the crazy part. Jobs lived with the constant awareness that he might die young. He battled cancer for years. And yet, instead of letting that destroy him, it gave him urgency. He revolutionized technology, built Apple into an empire, and left behind a legacy that still inspires millions. So ask yourself, if today were your last day, would you want to live it the way you're living it now? If not, what's stopping you from making a change? Let's be honest, most of us avoid thinking about death. We act like we have all the time in the world. But here's the truth, procrastination isn't just about putting off a task or a dream, it's putting off life itself. How many times have you said, "I'll do it later"? Later isn't guaranteed. The harsh truth is this, death isn't a possibility, it's a certainty. The problem is, we think death is far away, so we live like we're invincible. We waste time chasing approval, getting stuck in toxic relationships, or overthinking decisions. But every second you spend on what doesn't matter is a second you'll never get back. The Stoics believed that the key to a meaningful life is urgency. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Before I dive into how you can apply Memento Mori in your own life, let me remind you, if this resonates with you, hit that subscribe button for more life-changing lessons. Join Students of Wisdom, and let's grow together. Don't wait. Remember, we're on borrowed time. Now let me tell you a story from ancient Rome. There was a gladiator named Spartacus who faced death every time he entered the arena. He had no illusions about his mortality. He knew every fight could be his last. But instead of succumbing to fear, Spartacus lived with ferocity. He fought with everything he had, not because he thought he'd live forever, but because he knew he wouldn't. That clarity gave him courage. When you accept that death is inevitable, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, you become unstoppable. Ask yourself, what would you do if you weren't afraid of failure, judgment, or the unknown? Would you start that business? Write that book? Tell someone you love them? Now let's talk about how you can use Memento Mori to transform your life. Here are 3 powerful steps. Visualize your mortality. Every morning, remind yourself, "I could leave life right now." This isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up. Picture your life as a sand timer. How will you use the sand that's left? Eliminate what doesn't matter. Write down everything that consumes your time: social media, toxic relationships, meaningless arguments. Then ask yourself, if I only had 1 month to live, would I care about this? If the answer is no, cut it out. Live your legacy today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to live fully. Start now. Call your loved ones. Take that first step toward your dream. Live in a way that, if you were gone tomorrow, you'd leave behind something meaningful. There's an old parable about a farmer who worked tirelessly, day and night, hoping to one day retire and enjoy his wealth. One evening, he found a mysterious clock in his barn. It was counting down the seconds of his life. Terrified, he asked, "How much time do I have left?" The clock simply replied, "Enough." The farmer realized that he'd been waiting for the future to live, but the only time he truly had was now. He sold his farm, traveled the world, and finally experienced the joy he'd been postponing. The question is, what's your clock telling you? Are you waiting for the perfect moment, or are you living now? Life isn't measured by the years we live, it's measured by how deeply we live them. Memento Mori isn't a grim reminder of death, it's a call to action. It's a chance to wake up, to focus on what truly matters, and to leave behind a life worth remembering. Remember, you don't get to choose how long you live, but you do get to choose how well you live. Now it's your turn. Take a moment today to reflect on Memento Mori. Write down one thing you've been putting off and take the first step toward it. And don't forget, subscribe to Students of Wisdom for more powerful lessons to transform your life. Time is precious. Let's not waste it.